Stepping into the rehearsal room felt almost like intruding on an intimate, private moment. The cast of The Lady from the Sea sat closely together, with a hushed atmosphere and at least a couple of actors wiping away tears. The quiet buzz suggested something emotionally heavy had just happened. But then I realized they were simply reading through a scene, and to my surprise, that scene had been written just the day before. Simon Stone's contemporary adaptation of Henrik Ibsen's classic play is very much a work in progress. The cast has been rehearsing together for less than 2 weeks, and Stone, an Australian writer and director, explains during lunch, usually it takes most people about 6 weeks to really connect with their scenes. Often the rehearsal period drags on as actors slowly find their bearings. And it's not until the very first full run-through that the real emotions come alive. But here, we're connecting much faster because we've spent so much time talking about the material. Stone's approach is quite unique. We start from the end, diving straight into deep emotional territory. No pretense, no fluff. Simon cuts straight to the core, and it's genuinely one of the most eye-opening and rewarding experiences I've had on stage in many years. That experience was crucial because Lincoln admits he wasn't initially a fan of Ibsen's work. He jokes that he was ambushed into accepting the role of Edward, only realizing halfway through their first meeting that he was being offered the part. He appreciates the suspense element in the original play, but found the tone quite heavy and oppressive. When I think of Ibsen, laughter isn't usually what comes to mind. But Simon has a remarkable track record of reimagining these plays. Stone's modern tragedies often weave humor into the narrative, and this rehearsal highlights that perfectly. Particularly, Gracie Audie James and Isabel Akawudike, playing Edward's daughters, bring a lively comedy that balances the drama. Stone himself bursts into laughter frequently, even during intense scenes, and watches the actors closely, offering subtle direction, sometimes encouraging a slower tempo, a more casual line, or quicker entrances, much like a maestro shaping an intricate symphony. At lunch, Vikander showed no signs of strain, despite her character enduring a lot of verbal fury from Lincoln's character earlier. Quite the opposite, the nerves and excitement seemed to delight her. This marks her first return to theater since she was a teenager. Filming often feels confined by the ticking clock. You know how many scenes you have to shoot and when. But here, I get to experience that wonderful nervous energy every day, not fully knowing how it will play out in front of an audience. Vikander's roots in performance stretch back to her mother, Maria, who was a theater actress, and to her own early ballet training. She never imagined pursuing film acting. There's no one shouting "cut" on stage, so I can truly immerse myself in the moment. It's fulfilling a childhood dream and brings a unique sense of exhilaration. Her biggest worry before stepping into this play was whether her voice would carry across the Bridge Theater's auditorium. Stone reassured her confidently, "You could easily fill a 2,000-seat theater with your voice, Alicia." Vikander was already familiar with The Lady from the Sea, having seen a production in Sweden. She was drawn to its strong feminist themes. Her very first conversation with Stone, conducted over Zoom while she was shooting a film in Korea alongside her husband Michael Fassbender, lasted so long that they only stopped when it hit 1:30 a.m. at her side of the world. Stone recalls feeling delightfully embarrassed afterward. Stone's works often contain autobiographical hints. Though deeply disguised, a photocopy of a photocopy, as he puts it. Lady from the Sea is no exception. He first read Ibsen's original play in 2009, just 2 months after experiencing a similar personal heartbreak. "I was one half of a relationship that went through this exact trauma," he says. "I started reading this 5-act play while soaking in the bath and literally couldn't put it down. By the time I finished, my bathwater was cold." That's such a perfect image. Reading in the bath? Vikander adds, with a smile, Stone's theatrical work frequently spotlights female protagonists. Shows like Yerma, Medea, and Phaedra all emphasize women's stories. I thought early on I'd just direct 1 or 2 plays focused on women, he says, but it's essentially become my whole career. This passion helps explain his attraction to Ibsen, whose female characters were written over 150 years ago by a man in his 50s and 60s. It's extraordinary when you think about it. The central drama in The Lady from the Sea revolves around the female lead being torn between 2 lives, a duality Vikander finds relatable. She's a mother of 2 young sons with Fassbender, and often feels the tug of guilt when her work keeps her away from them. Her grandmother was among the few working women of her time, and her mother frequently used her theater earnings to pay for childcare. I honestly don't know how she managed to cover the rent, Vikander reflects. She feels immense gratitude for the role model her upbringing provided. A woman who could fiercely dedicate herself to art while being a loving, present mother. My mom used to wake up at 4 a.m. to bake bread because her own mother never did, she remembers. And I've come to understand that to be the best mother I can be, I need to nurture that other side of myself that keeps me grounded. At 51, Lincoln has set his own boundaries around the people he chooses to work with. One important question is, are they a shouter? Life's too short for directors who are oppressive or harsh. He sought advice from Billie Piper before signing on for Stone's production. She told me, "It'll be one of the most intense and scary experiences you'll ever have, but you have to do it." It transformed how she approaches work and gave her a